Sometimes the world doesn't stop for other people's pain. It just keeps walking, phones out, eyes down, pretending not to see. But that afternoon, one little girl refused to stay invisible. Tears streaming, she ran through the crowd, clutching her bruised arm, straight into the one man who never turns away. Jasonstatham looked down, saw her fear, and then heard the words that froze him cold. "They beat my mum." Before we continue, if you've been here before, you know what we stand for: stories that remind us that strength isn't just about fists. It's about what you do when someone cries for help. And if you're new here, welcome. Stick around till the end, because what happens next isn't just a rescue, it's a reckoning. The city was alive that afternoon, not in a joyful way, but in the ordinary noise of people too busy to care. Car horns, street chatter, phones held high, the world spinning as fast as the lights that blurred by. Jasonstatham had been out for a walk, a rare quiet day. No cameras, no entourage, just him in a black jacket, hands in his pockets, soaking in the stillness between the chaos. He just stopped by a cafe when it happened. A scream. Small, sharp, the kind that cuts through everything. He turned his head. Through the crowd, a little girl no older than 6 stumbled forward, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Her hair was messy, her cheek red and scraped. She was running, clutching something, a torn piece of fabric, like it was the only thing keeping her safe. People stared, some slowed, no one moved. She darted past them all, until she collided right into Jason's leg. He looked down, instinctively kneeling. "Hey, hey," his voice softened, calm and low. "You okay, sweetheart?" She backed up, terrified, clutching her chest. "Please, please help, they hurt my mum." Jason's face froze. "Who did?" She pointed down the street, trembling. "Men, 2 men, they hit her, they're still—" She couldn't finish. The sob took her whole breath. Jason's hands rested gently on her shoulders. "Where is she now?" The girl pointed again, toward the alley behind a row of shops. "Back there, she told me to run." He nodded, steady, his eyes already changing. The warmth was still there, but beneath it, something sharp, something cold. He turned to a woman nearby. "Call the police," he said, his tone commanding but not loud. "Tell them there's an assault, 2 suspects, 1 victim." The woman froze, wide-eyed. Who are you?" He didn't answer, he was already moving. The alley wasn't far. He reached it in seconds, long, quiet strides, scanning with every step. He saw her immediately. A woman, maybe in her 30s, on the ground beside a trash bin. Her lip was split, her arm bruised, her breathing uneven. And 2 men, 1 tall, 1 stocky, stood over her. Laughing. Didn't think she'd try to fight back, one sneered, kicking at her bag. "Where's the cash, huh? You think we're playing?" The other grabbed her arm roughly. "We don't got all day." "Let her go," Jason said. His voice wasn't loud, but it stopped them both like a command. They turned, sizing him up. "Who the hell are you?" the tall one barked. Jason stepped closer. "The guy who's giving you a chance to walk away." They laughed, big, stupid laughs that always come before bad decisions. The stocky one pointed. "Oh yeah, you gonna make us?" Jason's eyes flicked down once, reading their stance, their distance, their breathing. He didn't need long. "I won't have to," he said quietly, "if you do the smart thing." The tall one sneered. "Nah, mate, the smart thing is you turn around before you get hurt." Jason took one more step forward, his boots echoing on the pavement. "You hurt a woman in front of her kid. You're already past getting hurt." The shorter one lunged first, fast, angry. Jason sidestepped, grabbed his arm, and twisted. A pop echoed as the man screamed, dropping to his knees. The tall one swung wide and desperate. Jason ducked, landed a precise jab to the ribs, then another to the throat. The man gasped, stumbling backward, wheezing for air. Jason stepped forward, expression unreadable. "You done?" Neither answered. One was on the ground, clutching his shoulder, the other doubled over against the wall, coughing. He crouched between them, voice low. "You ever go near that woman or her kid again?" He leaned in closer, enough for them to see the quiet fire in his eyes. "And I'll find you before the police do. Understand?" Both nodded fast, terrified. Jason stood, glancing at the woman. "You all right?" She nodded weakly, trying to sit up. I thank you, I didn't think anyone would. Jason helped her gently to her feet. Your daughter's safe, she's just up the street. Tears welled in her eyes. I told her to run, I didn't know. You did the right thing, Jason said softly. By the time the police arrived, the two men were on the ground restrained. Witnesses were whispering, phones still in hand. The little girl clung to her mother, refusing to let go. An officer approached Jason. Sir, can I get your statement? Jason nodded. They were attacking her, I stepped in. You'll have footage from that shop's camera. The officer glanced toward the still crowd. Yeah, looks like half the street saw it too. Jason gave a brief nod. Then that's all you'll need. As he turned to leave, the little girl ran up and grabbed his hand. Wait, she said through her tears. What's your name? Jason crouched down, a small smile breaking through the seriousness. Doesn't matter, just be brave for your mum, yeah. She shook her head, but I want to thank you. He gently placed a hand over hers. Then promise me this, if you ever see someone in trouble, you don't look away, you call for help, you do something, that's how you thank me. The girl nodded, sniffling. Jason smiled softly, stood, and walked away before anyone else could stop him. That night the video hit the internet. A shaky recording from someone's phone, showing a man, face partially hidden, stepping in to stop two attackers. People shared it everywhere. Real-life hero, the headlines read. But Jason didn't see any of it. He was home, sitting in silence, a cup of tea cooling beside him. On the table was a newspaper. The headline read, Violence in London rises again, police seek answers. He folded it neatly. Because for him, this wasn't about the news or the attention. It was about something else, something that went much deeper. He'd been that child once. The one who watched the world look away. The next day, he went back to the same cafe. As he was paying, the barista looked up and whispered, You were there yesterday, weren't you? The guy from the video. Jason met her eyes. I was just in the right place. She smiled faintly. You did more than most would. He nodded once. Maybe that's the problem. Later that afternoon, he returned to the alley. The police tape was gone, the street quiet again. Just another place people would walk by without thinking twice. He stood there for a moment, remembering the look on the girl's face, the fear, the hope, the trust. Then he noticed something by the wall, a small drawing, taped roughly to the brick. Crayon lines, uneven but bright. A stick figure man standing beside a little girl holding hands. Above it, in wobbly letters, it said, Thank you for saving my mum. Jason stared at it for a long moment. Then he smiled, a small, genuine smile. He folded the drawing carefully and tucked it into his jacket pocket. Because for all the movies he'd made, all the applause he'd heard, nothing hit harder than a simple note from a child who finally felt safe. But he didn't know yet this wasn't over. The two men he'd stopped were small players in something bigger. And the moment Jason stepped into that alley, he'd unknowingly stepped into their world, a world that didn't forgive interference. And soon, they'd make sure he'd learn that the hard way. The sun was dipping low the next day when Jason's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. But something about the timing felt off, that quiet instinct that always whispered before trouble showed up. He answered. No one spoke at first, just the sound of someone breathing, followed by a cold, deliberate voice. You should have kept walking, mate. Jason didn't reply, he didn't have to. The voice continued. You made a mess of something that wasn't yours. The men you touched, they work for people who don't forget faces. Jason's eyes narrowed. Then they'll remember mine longer than they like. A pause, then laughter, sharp, mocking. You think you're some kind of hero. You've got no idea who you're dealing with. Jason ended the call. He didn't bother calling back. Whoever it was, they'd already said enough. That night he went back to the same cafe. Same corner seat, same black coffee. Only this time he wasn't reading, he was watching. He noticed them quickly, two men sitting by the window pretending to scroll their phones. They weren't from the neighborhood. They didn't fit the silence of the place. Jason stayed still, letting them get comfortable. The trick wasn't to move first. It was to let them think they were in control. When he finally stood, the scraping of his chair made them flinch. He walked past their table, calm as ever, and said quietly, "Tell your boss if he's got something to say. He can say it to me himself." He didn't look back. The next morning, the mother, Claire, was packing her daughter, Lily, for school when someone knocked on the door. It wasn't the soft kind of knock people use when they mean well. It was heavy, intentional. She froze. "Lily, honey, go to your room." Lily hesitated. "Is it them?" "Just go," Claire said softly. She opened the door slightly. A man stood there, slick suit, sunglasses, and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mrs. Collins?" he asked. "Who's asking?" He tilted his head. "You were involved in an incident yesterday. 2 of my colleagues were embarrassed. I'm here to settle that misunderstanding." Claire's voice trembled. "You call beating a woman a misunderstanding?" The man's smile widened. "You see, when people make mistakes, we like to keep things balanced. They got hurt, you're still walking free. That doesn't sit right with some of us." She stepped back, heart pounding. "Get off my property." He leaned closer. "I'd love to, but first maybe you should come with us, have a chat." Then from the street, a voice cut through the tension. "Bad idea." The man turned. Jason was standing by the gate, arms crossed, watching. The suited man frowned. "You again." Jason walked closer. "You're making a habit of picking the wrong people to scare." The man's tone turned sharp. "This isn't your concern." Jason's gaze hardened. "It is now." The man stepped back, gesturing toward a black car parked nearby. "You don't want to do this, Statham." Jason smirked faintly. "Then stop me." The man hesitated, then motioned to his driver. They got into the car and sped away. Jason turned to Claire. "You all right?" She nodded shakily. "They said it wasn't over." Jason glanced down the road. "Then it won't be until I end it." That evening, Jason tracked the car. Not through fancy tech or GPS, just instinct, memory, and patience. He followed the pattern, the same black sedans circling the block, the same faces at the corners pretending not to stare. It led him to an abandoned lot near the edge of the city. He parked his bike a few streets away and walked. The air was cold, filled with the metallic scent of rain. A warehouse sat in the middle of the lot, lights low, engines humming inside. He peeked through a broken window. 3 men were inside, the suited one from before among them, talking to someone who clearly wasn't used to being interrupted. A tall man in a gray coat, shaved head, calm voice that cut like a blade. "You let him walk," the tall man said, barely above a whisper. The suited one stammered, "We didn't expect him to." The tall man slammed his hand against the table. "He's a liability now. I don't like liabilities." Jason smiled faintly. "Neither do I." He pushed open the door. They froze. The tall man turned slowly. "Well, the man of the hour." Jason stepped forward. "If you've got business with that family, it ends tonight." The tall man tilted his head. "You've got guts, or maybe you've just got a death wish." Jason shrugged. "Depends how much you push me." The man smirked. "You don't even know who I am." Jason's eyes flicked around the room, counting. "Doesn't matter. You'll hit the floor the same way as everyone else." For a moment, silence. Then movement, the kind that always comes before violence. The first man rushed him. Jason sidestepped, grabbed his jacket, and slammed him into the wall. A second came from the right. Jason blocked, elbowed, swept his legs out. The third tried to pull a weapon. Jason kicked the gun from his hand, then dropped him with a single punch to the throat. The tall man watched, unfazed. "Impressive, but you can't fight what you don't see coming." Jason raised an eyebrow. "Then maybe you should stop talking and try." The tall man lunged. He was fast, military fast, trained, but Jason was sharper, quicker, meaner when it counted. They exchanged hits, heavy ones. Jason's knuckles split, the man's nose cracked, both breathing hard, both refusing to back down. Finally, Jason caught his arm mid-swing and twisted hard, slamming him onto the table. "You want to threaten women and kids?" Jason hissed. "Do it from the floor." The man gasped, blood dripping. "You don't know who you're messing with." Jason leaned in close. "I don't care." He left him there, broken but breathing, enough for the police to finish the job. An hour later, Jason walked Claire and Lily back to their home. The air had calmed, the night finally still. Lily held his hand tightly the whole way. Are the bad men gone? Jason looked down at her. They won't be coming back. Claire looked at him, eyes full of gratitude and exhaustion. Why did you help us? You didn't even know us. Jason stopped walking, his gaze softened. Because once someone helped me when no one else did, I don't forget things like that. Claire nodded slowly. We won't either. The next morning, Jason returned to the same street. No chaos now, just normal life resuming as if nothing had ever happened. He stood by a lamppost, watching Lily skip beside her mum, holding her hand, laughing. He smiled faintly. It wasn't a big smile, just enough to let the weight fall off his shoulders. That was all he needed. As they disappeared into the crowd, a man passing by recognized him. Hey, aren't you? Jason interrupted gently. No, I'm just someone who was in the right place. And he walked away. Later that evening, Claire found an envelope slipped under her door. No name, no note, just a folded piece of paper and a small card. The paper read, If the world ever turns its back again, you don't have to face it alone. And below it an address. Raven Jim. The story spread online again that week. Jasonstatham saves mother and child from gang retaliation. But Jason never commented, never posted, never said a word. Because for him, it wasn't about the noise. It was about knowing one more little girl could walk down the street without fear, and one more man might think twice before hurting someone weaker. That was his quiet victory. No headlines, no spotlight, just peace. In a world where people film pain instead of stopping it, Jasonstatham didn't just act, he answered. And sometimes, that's what being strong really means. Not being fearless, but refusing to walk away when someone else is.